everyone, it's Maria, and welcome to the Breaking Up with Toxicity podcast. Thank you for being with me today. Each week, I will connect with people as they share relatable life experiences. We will talk about and at times challenge reoccurring unhealthy and toxic patterns that keep you from the changes you want to see as you break these unhealthy cycles. So let's get started and see where this show will take us today. Be sure to listen and don't forget to follow so that you never miss an episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Breaking Up with Toxicity. I'm your host, Maria Shkreli, therapist, author, and your emotional truth teller. In the last episode, we pulled back the curtain on empathy. Not the Pinterest quote version, but the real version. Cognitive empathy, I understand what you're feeling. Emotional empathy, I feel what you're feeling. And compassionate empathy, I understand, I feel you, and I'm here to help. We talked about how most people only operate from one type, thinking that they have more, and how that mismatch alone can make you feel either unseen, unloved, or you could be too much at times in your relationships. Today, I'm taking that one huge step further for all of us, because if empathy is the language, guess what? Your attachment style is the nervous system that's speaking it. So your attachment style actually shapes how you love, how you fight, how you trust, how you pull away, how you cling, and how you ask for needs, and how you react when people don't respond the way that you hoped. So, attachment decides whether you regulate or you explode, whether you stay or you run. Additionally, whether you pick safe partners or trauma bonds dressed up as chemistry. We know that word, chemistry. And most people have no clue it's running the show. So today I'm going to go deep into it, what each attachment style really is, how each one creates tension in the relationships, how they misalign with each other, why the opposites feel so magnetic but yet so chaotic at the same time, and how these styles can actually really heal each other if you understand the system. And I'm going to walk you through the real specific scenarios, not just anxious meets avoidant in some abstract way, but things like, why did I lose my mind when he didn't text back when logically I know they're just busy? Why do I shut down when the minute someone asks, can we talk? Why do I feel like I'm always chasing love that never fully lands? Because education doesn't change people. Recognizing yourself does. So let's start with what attachment styles actually are. Attachment styles are not personality types. They are actually survival, I guess we could say, let's call them survival templates. They're wired even before you were born, before you had language, when your little brain was trying to answer one question: how safe am I with the people who are supposed to protect me? Your attachment style is shaped by how loved you felt, how safe you felt, how consistently you were cared for, whether a caregiver actually showed up emotionally, whether the emotions were comforted, punished, mocked, ignored, or even overwhelmed, whether connection felt secure or did it feel dangerous, whether you were soothed or left alone to cry it out, whether closeness felt calming or did it feel suffocating. Those early experiences became your blueprint for love and connection. So now you as an adult, your attachment style quietly decides, how do you interpret silence? Is it as no big deal or they're abandoning me? How you handle conflict. Do you lean in? Do you explode? Or are you one that disappears? How much closeness you can tolerate from others? How much space you demand? How you self-protect. Is it with anger, shutdown, over-explaining, or retreating? How you try to get your needs met. Do you chase? Do you please? Do you withdraw? Or is it testing? Attachment is not about whether you love someone, actually. Attachment is about whether your nervous system feels safe in love. So let's walk through the 4 attachment styles. And I know many of you already know a lot of this or have heard this, and some of you actually may not have. So your first one is secure, then it's anxious, your third is avoidant, and then fourth is disorganized. As I describe them, I want you to notice which one feels like home for you. Not the one you wish you were. So let's not do that. But the one your body goes to under stress. So let's start with the secure attachment. This one most people think they have. Secure attachments, these people are usually very grounded. They're not perfect, but they're emotionally present. They're able to get close without losing themselves. They're able to need others without feeling ashamed. And they're able to tolerate space without spiraling out of control. So, what does it sound like? Secure attachment sounds like, hey, I'm upset. Can we talk about it? I need some space. I'm not going anywhere. I care about you. So, let's figure this out. They don't see conflict as you're going to leave me or intimacy as you're going to take over my life. Secure people regulate the rooms. They bring emotional safety wherever they go. The nuance that's often missed. Even secure people can get triggered, especially when they're paired with someone who's anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. The anxious partner may see a secure person's calm as a disinterest. Why are you freaking out? Do you even care? And an avoidant might see a secure person's direct communication as controlling. Why do we have to talk everything to death? And then a disorganized person may read secure consistency as very suspicious. Why are you being so nice? What's the catch? So, secure partners often become emotional interpreters in relationships. Okay, you're scared, you're overwhelmed, and you're shutting down. Here's what's actually happening. And while they can be a huge stabilizing force, they can also feel drained, parentified, and they're constantly holding the relationship together. So, secure doesn't mean no issues. It means their baseline is regulated, it's not reactive. Okay, number two. Now, let's talk about anxious attachment, the one that gets labeled this is your clingy, dramatic, or your too much person. Anxious attachment is not drama, it's actually a fear response. Anxious attachers usually grew up in a home where there was inconsistent caregivers, sometimes present, sometimes they were checked out, sometimes they were warm, and sometimes they were irritable or even just distracted. It was just enough love to crave it, but enough inconsistency to never feel secure in it. So that's what's going on here. Their nervous system learned I need closeness to feel safe. If you pull away, I panic. If I don't monitor this, I'm going to get blindsided. And then love is so unpredictable, so I have to stay on high alert. So these are the people who usually tend to be your overthinker in texts. They reread conversations over and over, and they can feel sick when someone pulls away from them. They assume I did something wrong when something shifts in a relationship. They replay arguments in their heads for days over and over and over. So let me make it real for you. Say you send a text, right? And they don't reply. On the outside, you're just checking on your phone. On the inside, are they mad at me? Did I say something wrong? They answered their friend, but not me. What does that mean? Are they pulling away? Are we done? Now imagine that same person with an avoidant partner who needs space to regulate. We'll get to that explosive combination shortly. Partners often say to anxious attachers, you're too sensitive, you're overreacting, you take everything so personally. But anxious attachment is not about wanting drama. It's about wanting reassurance. It's a survival pattern to avoidant emotional abandonment. Now, here's your avoidant attachment person. This is your withdrawer. So this person usually gets painted as someone who is cold, they're selfish, they have no emotions, and they're incapable of commitment. So someone who has an avoidant attachment at its core, it's not a lack of feeling. It's a fear wrapped in self protection. That's what's going on here. Avoidance often grew up with environments that were emotionally distant, very rigid. They could have been very performance driven, a home where we don't talk about feelings here, or where vulnerability was mocked or actually shut down. So, what they learned early is depending on anyone gets me hurt or disappointed, it's safer just to rely on myself. Emotions make things way too messy. And if I show too much, it will be used against me. So, avoidants have a tendency to love deeply but very quietly. They feel very intensely but internally. They retreat when they are overwhelmed, and they shut down when they feel pressured. And they also suppress emotions rather than express them. So here's what someone with avoidant looks like in real life. Their partner says, we need to talk. And what their body hears is, you're about to criticize, trap, or corner me. So what happens is that they get quiet. They go very logical at times, and they can shut down, or they'll say things like, "Can we talk later?" And then they never come back to it. They're not trying to punish you. They're trying to not drown in emotional intensity because it's too much for them. This creates tension because they pull away to regulate. The other person experiences that as rejection. What else is going on is that they need space to feel safe. Their partner needs closeness to feel safe. So partners say to avoidance, "You don't care. You're so distant. You never open up." The truth is, they actually really do care a lot. They just weren't given the skill set or the safety to show it. Are we ready for the disorganized attachment? This is the internal war. There's a lot going on in this one. So, this is the most complex style out of all of them. Someone with a disorganized attachment, they usually grew up in a home that was very chaotic, extremely unpredictable, sometimes nurturing, sometimes actually terrifying. And it was filled with so many mixed signals, often with the caregivers who were themselves traumatized. In this type of home, the source of the comfort and the source of the fear. So for this individual, their caregiver may have been a source of comfort or a source of fear. They could have been loving one moment and then very explosive the next. They could have been sober one day, intoxicated the next. Affectionate sometimes, rejection or abandoning other times. So what their nervous system learned is, I want connection, but you know what? Connection hurts. I crave closeness, but I'm terrified of being betrayed. I attach fast, but when it gets real, I go into panic mode. So if you get too close, I might get hurt. If you pull away, I feel abandoned. So they swing between anxious and avoidant behaviors. That's what's going on here. And that's what makes this one so complicated. They may text constantly one week and then they disappear the next. They beg you not to leave, then they say, "I need to end this. It's too much." They do a lot of push pull. It's not to manipulate you, it's a misconception. But they do this because their nervous system can't decide what's safe. They are all over the place. So, usually, partners of someone who's disorganized, they feel confused, exhausted, and you can feel like you're walking on eggshells and unsure if they're being loved or being pushed away. So, for the disorganized partner, love feels like stepping on broken glass, actually. I want to walk towards you, but every step hurts in a different way. They are not chaotic because they don't care. They are chaotic because the brain and the body learn two opposing survival strategies at the same time. So, how attachment styles create tension and misalignment. We're going to talk about how these styles collide because we rarely end up with the people who make our nervous system feel safe. We end up with people who feel like home, even if home was chaos, actually. Most people do not pair with their opposite by accident. Overall, I will say with the majority of couples that I work with, one is going to be anxious and the other one's avoidant. Now, it can, of course, happen differently, but I would say the probability is higher of those two being together. And there's reasons for that. So, the pair with someone who activates their oldest emotional wound, that's the one that you pair up with. You don't realize this though. I'm going to walk you through some of the classic pairings and the tensions between them. So, here we go. Here's your anxious and avoidant. This is an emotional war. This is the most common and can be the most painful dynamic, but if it works right, it can be a very healthy dynamic. So, your anxious partner, I need closeness to feel safe, right? Then, your avoidant partner, I need space to feel safe. So, what happens? The anxious partner chases, the avoidant partner retreats. The more one panics, the more the other one pulls back. The more one talks, the more the other one shuts down. So, imagine this. You're the anxious attached, and you send, "Hey, I felt a little off after our conversation earlier. Are we okay?" You see them online, but they don't respond. Your brain goes into, they're mad, they're pulling away. I ruined it. Should I send another text? What should I do? Their brain goes, I feel pressure. I don't know what to say yet. If I answer now, it might turn into a whole emotional conversation. I'll respond later when I have the energy for it. By the time they reply with, "Yeah, we're fine, I'm just busy," You've already activated hurt, maybe even snapping. Well, it didn't feel like we were fine. Now they feel pushed for coming back, and the loop continues between these two. That's not a lack of love. That is your nervous system clashing. This pairing can work if the avoidant communicates space very clearly, where they can say things like, I care about you. I just need a couple of hours to decompress. I will respond. The anxious has to learn to self regulate instead of texting every 10 minutes or 5 minutes. This is why this couple can be so powerful together. If they stop interpreting the other's patterns as a personal rejection, what they actually do is the anxious person starts to become more secure and the secure person starts to become more healthier. So this pairing can become a really powerful healing space for both of them. But that's only if both people are willing to see their pattern instead of only blaming each other for it. Now we're going to move on to the avoidant and the secure attachment. So this is a very slow healing, actually. The secure partner is the emotional anchor here, and the avoidant never had this type of relationship. So, for example, the secure partner says, you don't have to perform here. You're allowed to feel, you're allowed to not know what to say right away. The avoidant slowly learns that it's okay to say, I'm overwhelmed instead of disappearing. It's okay to know not how to deal with conflict. I also know that conflict doesn't automatically mean rejection. And I also know that closeness doesn't always lead to control. So, with this pairing, it can be a very deep healing as long as the secure partner doesn't take the avoidance need for space as you don't love me. And the avoidant doesn't weaponize space or use it to avoid all emotional accountability. Now we're going to move on to anxious and secure. These are anchoring, actually, people. This is an anchoring pair. Here, the secure partner becomes a safe base for the anxious one. The anxious partner has thoughts like, you're going to leave, you're pulling away. The secure partner consistently shows, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, let's talk. So, over time, what happens is the anxious partner's spirals do get shorter. The anxious partner starts to catastrophize less, not as quickly. And then their body also learns I can calm down and I can stay connected with this person. So, a lot of times, just like in therapy, the goal in therapy is to decrease intensity and frequency so that you can get to a point where the impact of whatever it is that someone has experienced doesn't impact your quality of life. In this relationship, this is where you can literally watch an anxious person soften and become more secure. Not because their attachment style magically has changed, but because their environment finally matches what their nervous system needed. It's very important to see it from that perspective or to understand it from that way. So now we're going to talk about the disorganized and the secure. This is a lot of high intensity healing here. This pairing has a huge healing potential and high emotional demand at the same time because the disorganized partner is so used to love that flips on and off, mixed signals, and actually a lot of emotional whiplash that goes on or has gone on for them. And the secure partner shows up consistently. They mean what they say, they tend to follow through. And the secure partner reminds and says, I'm not leaving, and and actually doesn't leave over every argument. But here's where the challenge is. When things are too calm, the disorganized nervous system gets really suspicious. This is so unfamiliar to them. Why aren't we fighting? Is this real? Are you going to flip later? So this is what's going on in their mind. So they might unconsciously start a fight, test loyalty, push away to see if you'll come back, or actually even create drama to match their internal chaos that they're so familiar with. The secure partner has to hold their ground. I'm not participating in the chaos, but I'm not abandoning you. We can repair this, but not with threats or emotional whiplash. So, this pairing does require boundaries, consistency, no emotional games, lots of compassion, and very often therapy or some sort of external support. When this dynamic works, it is incredible. So, now we're going to move on to disorganized plus anxious and disorganized plus avoidant. These combinations can be intensely magnetic and very destabilizing here. So, with the anxious and a disorganized, both can be emotionally flooded, right? They're hyperactivated and terrified of abandonment. With avoidant and disorganized, both can retreat, then panic, then reconnect in ways that feel dramatic and very unstable. They can work, but they need radical awareness. They need a lot of structure, tools, accountability, and often pretty much professional support. Because here, trauma is talking to trauma. That's what's going on here in this dynamic. And it will script the entire relationship if no one steps in. So now I'm going to give you some real life scenarios. This hopefully will get very relatable for many of you. Let's take scenario one, the anxious texter plus the avoidant slow responder. So let's say you are the anxious texter. Hey, I had a weird feeling after our call. We're good, right? They open it up, read it, they feel pressure in their chest and they think, I don't even know what I'm feeling yet. If I answer no, I'll get pulled into a whole emotional thing and I'm tired. So what they do is they put their phone down. Their mind fills in with silence. They're mad. They're rethinking the relationship. I should have kept my mouth shut. Now, by the time they respond 5 hours later with, we're fine, just had a crazy day, you're cold, short, distant, or even accusing because you spent 5 hours living in your worst case scenario, the narrative that you played in your head. They generally don't understand, why are you mad? I just got busy. They feel attacked for doing nothing wrong. You feel punished for needing reassurance. That's attachment styles arguing, not just personalities. That's what's going on here. This scenario two, the avoidant in conflict. Let's say you say to somebody, we need to talk about what happened last night. You're anxious or secure, so you're trying to repair, and they're avoidant. Their body responds with the tight chest, the urge to leave, or maybe even a mental fog. And they say, I don't want to argue right now, or you know what, you're overreacting. Now, what you hear, my feelings don't matter, you're shutting me out. They are generally trying to avoid emotional overwhelm. That's what's going on here. They are generally trying to move toward a connection with you. Both of you are protecting yourselves. It's just in two complete opposite directions. Now we're going to talk about the disorganized fast attachment. Let's say you meet someone. Within a week, you're constantly texting them. You're trauma bonding over some pretty deep stories. It feels like you've never felt a connection like this before. Your disorganized attachment style says, finally, intensity that matches mine. Then, as soon as it gets real, they express real interest, they talk about the future, or they actually show consistent care. That's when your fear starts to kick in. Whoa, wait a minute, this is too much. What if they hurt me? What if I'm making a mistake? So, what may happen is that you will pick a fight over something small. You may ghost them for a few days, and then even maybe suddenly say, you know what, I'm not actually ready for this. Or you'll start flirting with someone else as an exit plan. So, you're not doing it because you don't care. You're doing it because safety and danger feel wired together in your body. Here's another scenario for you, the secure partner who's calming the storm. So you're anxious or even disorganized. You're spiraling. You're going to leave me. You seemed off today. You didn't kiss me goodbye the same way. So your secure partner responds with, I'm here. I'm not leaving. We had a weird moment. Yes, but I'm with you. Let's talk about it. They don't mock your fear, punish, call you crazy. They stay grounded. Over time, your nervous system slowly begins to learn, maybe I don't have to panic every time something shifts. That's not magic. What this is called, that's attachment repair happening in real time. Attachment is not about blaming your parents or your partners. It's about understanding your blueprint so you can stop repeating the patterns that are destroying your peace. Your attachment style is not your fault. It was built in an environment you did not choose. But once you know it, it is absolutely your responsibility. And what I like to tell my clients is you need to learn how to own your role because now you can name it, you can notice it, you can regulate it, you can communicate it, and you can choose to do differently. It will take work. And here's where this ties right back into my last episode on empathy. Your attachment style determines whether you lean more toward cognitive, emotional, or compassionate empathy, how you give empathy, how you receive it, what kind of empathy overwhelms you, what kind of empathy you crave, and what kind of empathy you misinterpret. I'm going to leave you with these final thoughts. Attachment is the why behind your reactions. Empathy is the how behind your responses. So, in our next episode, I'm bringing these two worlds together in a way that will probably explain half of your relationship history.